Hello and welcome to episode 61 of Ready to Mosh. I'm Kev P and with me is the back to my Aussie, it's Gem G.
You're going to bite my head off?
Maybe. Depends, if you don't behave.
Charming.
Right, news time then. What have you got?
I've got some news about a couple of big tours coming up for next year. A little bit of old news, this one, but we did record, I think it was the last episode, the news was a bit early and this time it's a bit late, so we're kind of a bit of a news lag, a time lag on the news. A little bit of a catch-up. Yeah. Anyway, Judas Priest have announced a UK arena tour for next year in March with some other people.
So just some other people?
Some other people. Those other people are Saxon and Uriah Heep. And they're going to be starting on the 11th of March in Glasgow, going to Leeds, Dublin, Bournemouth, Birmingham and London on the 21st of March. Tickets are on sale that one now. And I think I read somewhere that one's an all-seated affair. Or at least some venues might be all-seated.
Well, it's one of the venues Wembley?
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that's not going to be seated.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I've not really looked into it because we've not really thought about going, but I'm sure I read some comments that said they were. Anyway. And then the other one is Enter Shikari have announced an arena tour for February next year to tour their latest album, A Kiss for the Whole World. Mm-hmm. So obviously we know that they did a few small dates, kind of, is it 3 times in each location?
Yeah, it's Wolverhampton.
Yeah, pre-album kind of. To start off the touring of that album. So yeah, then they're going in for the big ones next year. So they're starting on the 9th of February in Leeds, going to Nottingham on the 10th of February, which we will be attending.
We will.
We already have our tickets for that one. And then they're actually doing an academy in Edinburgh, the O2 Academy, Victoria Warehouse in Manchester. They've got 2 nights, Cardiff Arena, and then finishing off at Wembley Arena on the 17th of February. And that one's already 50% sold out.
It's good to see that they've managed to make the step up to arenas now.
I'm sure they've done arenas before.
Have they?
I feel like they have done a few years ago.
It's just every time we've seen them, it's always been at Rock City. Or kind of local tours. We've never seen them anywhere other than festivals where they've been bigger venues. I'm sure
they have done, though. I feel like they did do some arenas for the Minesweep album, but I might be making that up.
Okay.
And then their support for the tour is Fever 333.
111.
222, however many members may be in the band at the point that they're touring. And Noah, I'm not quite sure if I'm saying his name right, Noah Finch? Is it Finch?
Oh, I'm not sure.
No, that's my first bit of news.
Well, as you did a gig we're going to, I'll do one we're not going to, because the ticket's sold out. And that's for Def Leppard at the Lead Mill in Sheffield.
Yes, not unexpected.
Not unexpected.
It's an 850 capacity venue.
Yeah.
And they haven't played anywhere that tiny for about, 40 years probably.
And the rest. Yeah, so we tried to get tickets for that, but they sold out in like 10 seconds. So, I mean, it's all for a good cause, I suppose. It's all helping the Lead Mill stay open, isn't it?
Yeah, the Music Venue Trust as a whole bought in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, the page was open, ready to try and get tickets. I think they're about £65, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Which I think is quite a lot for a small venue, but at the same time, whenever you're going to
When are you going to see Def Leppard play $8.50?
Yeah, it's still cheaper than their stadium tour.
Yeah.
Right, my next thing is that Sum 41 have announced that they're going to split up.
Oh no, whatever will we do?
Well, someone's not a Sum 41 fan. They announced, I think it was earlier this week, that they're going to be splitting up after 27 years together. They're going to continue to release their final album, Heaven X Hell, Heaven Stroke Hell, which is a double album, and they're going to do a worldwide headline tour to celebrate that and say goodbye to people, and then they're calling it a day. So expect them coming back in, I don't know, how long shall we give them for a comeback tour? 5 years?
5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Sad for all the Sum 41 fans who are out there. We're not in that
We're not in
category.
That camp, no.
Yeah, I mean, I saw them back in the day, but I don't think I've seen them since.
No.
I mean, I don't know how long this worldwide tour is going to be, so you never know. They might still end up at Download next year.
Oh, God,
perhaps.
Yeah, potentially.
Or if they might just do a UK tour, I guess.
Yeah. Distillers have finally been announced that they've pulled out of Download.
We've kind of been expecting it for some time, really, haven't we?
Yeah, they pulled out of Hellfest.
Yeah, that got announced just before, but I'm sure
about a week before.
Did they get taken off the poster, or they weren't on the list on the website?
They weren't on the A to Z. They were still on the poster after the last announcement, but they weren't appearing on the A to Z, and that kind of led to speculation.
Yeah.
Obviously with them pulling out the year before.
And the year before, I think.
Yeah.
It was weird because we kind of felt like they were going to, but then when they did the last announcement and it wasn't mentioned, you thought, oh, maybe they're still going
Maybe
ahead
it's
then.
still-
But
yeah.
then the Hellfest cancellation was announced.
Yeah,
so-
as soon as they pulled out that, you kind of knew it was...
Yeah, and it's due to personal reasons around Brodie, I believe. She put a statement out herself.
Yeah, but they've been replaced by Bad Religion.
That's a fairly...
It's a decent swap.
I mean, I'm not overly fussed about seeing them myself. I'd rather watch Distillers again.
Yeah, I'm happy with the swap. I've seen a lot of people complaining about it,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like 4 weeks before a festival. It's like, who do you expect them to get in?
And it's a similar kind of vein, punk-wise, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Bad Religion at Download. I can't remember what year it was. They were in the Avalanche tent and they were really good there. So might watch them. We'll see. Right. Last thing I've got is that I guess this is an announcement about an announcement because we all love one of those. But there's been an inkling that Foo Fighters are imminently announcing some UK tour dates. We know that they've been announcing kind of sporadic other tour dates and festival appearances for the last few weeks now, really.
Yeah.
I know that if you pre-order the album, which is due out on... Is it the 3rd of June? 2nd of June? 2nd of June, I think the album's due.
You get an email code.
You get a pre-sale code. And that implies to me that if you've got to have that first before the tour, are the tickets going to go on sale maybe download weekend? Because surely the album's got to come out for you to get your code because you could cancel your pre-order, I guess, and get a code. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could be download weekend that we might be trying to buy Foo Fighters tickets, obviously depending where and when it is.
Yeah.
And are they cursed? I don't know. Maybe we're just doomed to never see them.
I think we're doomed to never see them.
Yeah. Watch this space on that one then.
My final piece of news is a Glastonbury update, and it's a good one because it looks like they've done some kind of collaboration with Earache Records, and there's a lot of bands attached to that label that are going to be playing there. Some of the bands I've kind of earmarked straight off are Empire State Bastard, who I will go and check out, and they're at Download as well, I think.
They are, yeah, hoping to see them there.
Cassiette and Skindred.
It's not a bad addition.
It's not. It's a shame they're not. Skindred aren't on the main stage. I would like to see 200,000 people doing the Newport Helicopter.
I'd like to see the faces of the majority of those 200,000 people when the people who know the Newport Helicopter started doing the Newport Helicopter.
Yeah.
Based on when they were supporting Volbeat, and there was a lot of confused people there wondering what was going on.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that will be the stage that I will be calling home, I think, at Glastonbury.
Yeah, that'll be one that I'm sad to miss, but on the whole, I'm still happy with
You're still happy with the lineup? Yeah.
That's it then for the news. Review time now then, and this week we are reviewing the 16th album from Therapy, Hard Cold Fire.
Yep, first one in 5 years. So it's been a little while coming.
I found this one quite nostalgic, I have to say.
Yeah, it does do that a little bit in certain places, yeah.
It is it 10 tracks?
Yeah.
10 tracks.
Yes.
Over 30 minutes, so quite a little one.
Yeah, it's short for an album.
It is after Metallica.
Well, yeah. There are walls that have finished quicker than that Metallica album, though.
Okay, shall we get on with it?
Yeah.
So track one then is They Shoot the Terrible Master.
Yeah, my favourite track on the album.
Oh, is it? I've got 4 favourites, but this isn't one of them.
I've also got 4 favourites, but this is the standout track for me.
Just as an aside note then, interesting, we've both got 4 favourite tracks out of 10, so that's almost 50% we love.
Yeah, or you could say 40%.
You could. You're the math one. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I think this is a great opener. It's got perfect guitars and the chorus in this is excellent as well. It's everything about it is just what I want to hear.
Yeah, I thought it was a great opener. I like that little interesting kind of reverb start, and then it just slaps you around the face with it opening chords, and it's just classic Therapy.
Yeah, it's what you want from a Therapy album.
Yeah,
that's why it's my favourite. It's perfect. Track 2 is Whoa, which is, it feels like a slightly different sound.
Yeah, I found this one quite distorted. Like the melodies and the guitars were quite discordant, and the vocals were distorted. Not in a bad way. It was just, I thought it carried on in the strong start from track 1, but it had almost like a twisted sound to it.
Yeah, but the extension in the chorus as well. I feel like the chorus goes on too long. Kind of like multiple repeats of the chorus, and I just didn't seem to. But it was not my favourite on the album. It's good, but it's not my favourite by a long way.
Track 3 then is Joy, and this is the first of my favourites, and this was also the lead single off the album.
This is another one of my favourites. Do like this one. Picks back up more of a classic sort of therapy sound as well.
Yeah, I thought that really distinct Andy vocal at the start, and kicks in really heavy, absolutely catchy chorus.
Yeah, the chorus is great in this.
Yeah, the post-chorus riff reminded me of something. I've done my usual, it reminds me of ? Can't think what, but I thought a lot of 90s vibes running through this one.
Yeah, I've put that it could be from the mid-90s.
Yeah, really bouncy, anthemic.
A lot of sing-along bits.
Yeah, and almost like a contrast of the vocals quite melodic, but the riffs are quite angry.
Track 4, Bewildered Herd.
This is another of my favourites.
Ah, okay. I'm not as... This is one of my favourites. It's all right, but it's not up there for me.
I thought it had more of a metal twang to it. I like the kind of alternative vocals, like the shout back vocals in it. Again, quite a hint of a classic therapy style going through it.
It reminded me of Metallica.
Oh.
I got a lot of Metallica vibes from this.
Yeah, why is it more metal, didn't it?
It's a lot faster than the other stuff. Yeah. And it feels kind of more frantic and angrier. Kind of like the snarling in it as well.
Yeah, I thought that, and quite a social commentary, and then the spoken word section in the middle. Well, I thought it was an interesting twist.
It's a sample from Naked.
I know. I looked it up.
Oh.
Mike Leigh's Naked.
Yeah.
Did sound a bit like Bob Mortimer the first time I listened to it. The voice did. It sounded like him. I thought, well, surely not. So hence one reason why I wanted to look it up. Like, surely it's not.
You thought therapy had brought Bob Mortimer on board. That'd be some kind of bizarre collab.
It would, but did you not think it sounded like it?
No, not at all.
Just me. Number 5 then is Two Wounded Animals. This one was slower, but it still was quite big, heavy sounding.
This is another one of my favourites. This is the third favourite of mine. It's it's almost like harking back to the 90s grunge period in this for me.
Yeah, I thought this was a bit grungy. There's a couple that I thought in particular kind of a grungy chug to it, and
yeah, a lot of dirty guitars, vocals, and it could have been straight out of the grunge era.
Yeah,
but which is probably one of the reasons I like it so much.
Yeah.
Track 6 is To Disappear, which is a faster sound again, I think.
Yeah, it's back to a much faster sound, I thought, almost quite frantic, quite punky as well, this one.
Yeah, it sounds different to the rest of the album.
Yeah, again, it's got that kind of discordant, distorted kind of drum bass intro and quite random chords as well in it, it felt
almost
like.
detuned.
Yeah, that's a word I could have used as well. Yeah, and I think that gives it that punky sound as well as the speed of it.
Yeah, it did feel the guitars had been detuned, and there was more emphasis on the drums in this.
Yeah, I thought the vocals in the verse as well were quite creepy.
They were, yeah.
I thought, well, then the chorus, by contrast, is quite melodic. Again, the whole song is kind of it works well. It's not one of my favourites, but I like it. But it's all like jumbled up and mixed up, but in a good way.
Yeah, I think we're both kind of in the same boat on that one.
Number 7, Mongrel. This was another favourite of mine.
Okay.
Another chuggy one. I thought the vocals were really raspy in this one. Really sing-along chorus. Quite anthemic, indie hints as well.
I'm surprised this is one of your favourites.
Really?
Yeah, because there's, the kind of like the spoken parts through it. Remind me of Megadeth and Dave Mustaine.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like the Public Enemy #1 sort of feel to it. Yeah, I'm surprised you like this. It's definitely a lot angrier to open. And it suddenly changes to kind of like a melodic feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did kind of remind me of Megadeth.
Oh, I didn't get that, but then I don't listen to Megadeth that much, really.
No, I suppose you don't, do you? Track 8, Poundland of Hope and Glory, which is a great title.
Yeah, I love that.
And is my 4th favourite.
It's also my 4th favourite. And this was, I think it was the second single, this one.
Okay. It kind of flows well from the last one into this.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got a similar vibe, but with almost like a Britpop chorus feel to it.
Yeah, I thought the chorus was really infectious. Straight in my head, this one.
Yeah.
Was stuck. Again, got quite frantic chords to start with, and the drums I thought was really, really epic on this one. And I think this will be amazing live.
Yeah,
I think
likely.
a lot of them will, because they've got that same formula of the really catchy sing-along choruses, but this one in particular I think will go down really well live. Number 9 is Ugly. That's the title, I'm not describing it. Got quite a light chord intro, this one, quite melancholic. It reminded me a bit of Placebo, just those first few chords.
Okay.
Literally, like the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But then it kind of kicks in and it's another quite distorted, grungy one, I thought.
Yeah, it's got like a strange kind of growling vocal bass that's been overdubbed.
Yeah.
But it has also got some of the best guitar hooks on the album on this that run through the chorus. There's certain bits of this that I do really like that just kind of work so well.
Yeah, this is another one as well. The chord progression through it reminds me of something, and I can't think what it was.
But yeah,
there's something it reminds me of, and it's not come to me yet. But yeah, this one, is an all right one.
And the final track, Days Collapse.
A slower finish.
Yeah, it's slightly lighter finish to the album. And again, vocally sounding a little bit kind of Britpop meets Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, I thought it got a really kind of 90s kind of alternative sound, and it really shows off the vocals in this track more, because they're not as distorted or growly. It's almost like pure, clean singing.
And it does seem to end on quite like a bleak, somber sort of feeling, I thought, as well.
It does, but I think it works. It's a strong finish, even though it's a more softer, almost ballad-like track. Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's just a strange one to finish on.
Yeah, in some ways I think this might have fitted better in the middle as kind of a midpoint lull rather than a finisher.
Okay. So what do you think overall, an out of 10?
Overall, I think it is a classic therapy album. They've pretty much been doing the same thing for the last 30 odd years, but it's a formula that works well. And it hasn't dated.
Yeah.
It's still as good as they were back then. You've got the combination of catchy bass hooks, anthemic choruses, and then just
the classic therapy
sound that's just gone on for years, but is still good. And lots of hints of Troublegum in this one for me. Didn't want to say too much to start with, but the hints are definitely there. I don't think it quite lives up to that, and that is a classic album for me from that era.
Yeah, I'm very much the same thought. I've actually wrote that it's not better than Troublegum, because that is kind of like a defining album, but it's a fantastic second place.
Yeah, and it's actually done by the same producer that produced Troublegum, if you didn't know that.
Okay, no, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's definitely one of the best albums that they've done.
Definitely. I gave it 8.5.
I give it 8. So we're not far away on that.
No. Yeah, I don't think there's a bad track on it. Some that aren't quite as strong, but I would say it was unskippable, potentially. But there's room for a couple of improvements, maybe just to be a bit longer. Maybe another couple of tracks might have been nice.
But how many times have we said on certain albums that there's too many? Why is there this many tracks?
Quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Main feature now, and in tying in with this week's big musical event, or last week's musical event, it's time for the Ready to Mosh Eurockvision Song Contest.
Woohoo.
As you may or may not guess, one of us is quite a Eurovision fan, one not so much so.
No, so I'm drinking heavily to try and medicate myself through it.
So what we're going to do, if you listen to our Christmas episode where I played some alternative Christmas songs, it's going to be a similar style to that. So I've found 8 rock/metal style Eurovision songs from over the years. This is not a definitive list of all of them. There may be more out there. I've just chosen 8. I am going to play them all to Kev, and he is going to give them a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10 or 12. And then at the end, we'll see who the winner of this year's Eurockvision Song Contest is. We're actually recording this before this year's final, which is on Saturday. So we don't know what will happen with this year's entrant that's going to feature, but future us may pop up to mention it, depending. And you could also play along as well and give the songs a mention, a score, and see what you come out with at the end. So first song then that we're going to listen to is from 2005. This was Norway's entry that year, Wigwam, and the song was In My Dreams. So we've just listened to that one. Kev's going to do his scores at the end when you've listened to all of them, aren't you?
Yeah.
But just for reference, that one came 9th overall with 125 points.
Jesus Christ, who voted for that?
People.
The quality must have been really bad that year.
So what were your general thoughts on Wigwam?
Glam metal shit.
To be honest, if someone had asked me what I expected you to say for that one, then those 3 words would probably have featured.
It's like Def Leppard on helium.
Yeah.
It's fucking terrible. And I don't like Def Leppard, but that's a preferable option to this. It's awful. There's screeching is just, it just goes through me. Horrid. Don't know what drugs they're doing in Norway, but it must be good.
Is that your full verdict on that one?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
We'll move swiftly on then. So staying in the Scandinavian region, the next one is a song that you and quite a lot of other people I imagine will be familiar with, as it's one of the more famous metal Eurovision exports. And this is Lordi's Hard Rock Hallelujah, which was the Finnish entry in 2006. So Lordi did actually win the Eurovision Song Contest that year with 292 points. They were the first rock/metal act to ever win Eurovision, also the first Finnish act to ever win at Eurovision. But what did Kev think of it?
It's better than the first, but the trouble I've got with this, it's kind of like a parody of everything that's metal. And that's why I don't like it.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's almost like a
gateway.
Yeah.
But if you want a real gateway, listen to, I don't know, Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's almost like a toned down version, almost pretending to be.
It's pretending to be something it's not. And I don't know what's more offensive, the first one for the shrieking noise it created, or this one because of what it is.
I've always had a soft spot for Lordi anyway since that Eurovision.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of just a cheesy classic.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and in a way, this kind of, I suppose, almost brought metal forward again. Yeah. Which is, to where it is now, and it's weird that it takes something like a bizarre competition to do it, so I don't get it, yeah. So, it's better than the first, but I'm not...
You're not a Lordi fan?
I'm not a Lordi fan, no.
Well, we're sticking with Finland for the next track that you're going to listen to. So this is from 2008. This is Teräs Bitoni, and the track was called Missä Miehet Ratsastaa. Apologies for the probable mispronunciation on that one. So that one didn't fare as well as Lordi did. It only came 22nd with 35 points back in 2008. But what did you think about it?
It sounds like a bad radio station on holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Musically. Vocally, it's weird. It sounds like Avatar.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good comparison. I can hear that.
Yeah. Well, the high-pitched vocals and then the other bits that aren't just... It did sound a lot like Avatar, but a bad version of Avatar.
I thought musically as well, because I'd not listened to it for probably since 2008, to be honest, this one. Reminded me almost a little bit of like Iron Maiden versus Amon Amarth. Yeah. Kind of gallopy.
Yeah, I get what you mean with that, yeah.
I can see why it didn't do so well, if you know what I mean. It had just not got that commercial fun appeal to it that Lordi had,
Yeah, bad radio station meets Avatar.
Okay, there's a description. I might quote some of these. Right, next one then, track 4. We're coming up to 2018 now, so we've had a 10-year gap. This one is Hungary's entry for that year. It is AWS, and apologies in advance for the bad pronunciation that I'll probably do on this one, Viszlát Nyár. So what did you think of AWS and Viszlát Nyár?
Nondescript generic tat, for a start. Oh. And it's weird. It's kind of like, it's as if somebody's bought a My First Heavy Metal book and they've been given a list of ingredients. Yeah. And they've been asked to make a mix. And they've mixed it all together and they've produced that, and they've clearly misread the instructions.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you mean on that one. I think it's a bit more obviously up to date than the other ones, where, if you know what I mean, obviously it's 10 years later, 2018, so it's kind of...
It is, for me, it was still picking... out of date.
Yeah, but it was kind of picking back more recent bits of metal into it as well.
It sounded like Him meets Linkin Park, and then towards the end a sprinkling of POD.
Yeah.
It's like it's like there's a list of ingredients that should make a reasonable sound, and they came up with that instead.
Okay, well that one came 21st with 93 points at the time, so again a similar thought on that one from the rest of the Eurovision watching world.
Yeah.
Right, well, we're halfway through. So the next track is from 2019, and this was Iceland's entry from Hatari, and another bad pronunciation incoming on this one, Hatrio Munsigra.
Can I just say before we move on?
Yeah.
Everything's been Scandinavian?
Well, there's a point.
You know, there's not been anything outside of that region yet.
Oh, there's a couple coming up, which we'll get on to.
Okay. Well,
but yes, that is a point.
Yeah.
Hungary was the last one then.
Hungary, yeah, they're outside of Scandinavia.
Yeah, I think it's kind of 50-50 what they are.
Okay, fair enough.
But I see where you're coming from. Obviously, it's a big home of metal, isn't it, Scandinavia?
Yeah. It's just curious that's... But like the bands that come out of Scandinavia are generally heavier. But then they're producing the more Eurovision entries than anywhere else.
Yeah,
okay.
Good point. Anyway, let's listen to Hatari. What did you think of Hatari then?
That one was actually alright. Don't mind that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Kind of sounds like Ministry.
Yeah, like a softened version.
Yeah, in places, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember watching Eurovision 2019 when they came on. There's quite a big group of them, I think, and they had that bondage outfits on.
Yeah.
You remember that? And they were due to play at Download in 2020.
Okay.
I can't remember if they got rolled over onto the iteration of 2021, but obviously weren't there last year.
No, it was just British bands in 21.
I know that. I know I meant because when 2020 got postponed, I meant the full version. It was supposed to be in 2021, not the pilot, obviously.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that one. That's actually okay.
Okay. Might have a clear winner so far then,
yeah.
Potentially. It did come 10 overall that year.
Yeah.
Had 232 points. Just to say, I keep mentioning how many points, but the point system always changes over the years, and I know the public vote is more of an impact now, so probably completely irrelevant, but I feel like I should keep mentioning points because I started till finish.
Yes, Magnus.
Right, we'll move on to the next one then. Now, the next two are actually from the same year, both from 2021.
Okay.
One of these you'll be familiar with, one of these you should be familiar with, but whether you'll remember the actual songs, we don't know. I feel
like one of them I'm down straight away.
So, first one is obviously Måneskin from Italy. Whether you'll remember this particular track, I don't know, but the track that they had that year was Zitti e Buoni. Another bad pronunciation. So Måneskin won Eurovision 2021 with that track. Obviously, they were already a band prior to that, but that track just set them off to explode in the music world, I guess.
Well,
they've become quite big now, aren't they? They're playing arenas.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Anyway, what did you think of that particular track? Because we know you weren't keen on the album.
No, Italian rolled blood is the best way I can describe it.
We should have just done this in 3 words, shouldn't we? What 3 words would you use to describe that song? Italian
royal blood. Yeah. Not offensive, but not something I'd choose to listen to.
I really like that one. It's really catchy.
Yeah, I thought you would.
I was bopping away. It's a Rockfit song as well, so I was jigging the moves out.
Yeah, no, it doesn't do it for me, but it's not the worst thing I've heard so far.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, kind of.
Just to add in then, as I've already said, they won Eurovision that year, 524 points. I would say it's a big win, but I don't know who came second or what their points were.
Yeah.
Slightly irrelevant. Sticking with 2021 then, we've got another track from that year and we're back to Scandinavia.
Of course.
And this is Blind Channel's Dark Side. So 2021 was clearly a strong year for alternative songs in Eurovision because this one got to number 6, or it came 6, I guess, with 301 points. What did you think of it?
Pretty painful.
Really?
Yeah. I won't be watching them at Download.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say they are at Download this year.
They are every new metal band mixed with Good Charlotte.
Surely that's a good thing, no?
Yeah, but it's like they've gone for every single band you can possibly think of. There's Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit. They've even managed to get in POD again. Yeah, Good Charlotte in places. It's like going somewhere on holiday and just looking at knockoff gear. That's how I feel about it. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, like if you're in a market abroad,
yeah.
and you'll see like fake Barcelona shirts.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
That's what this feels like.
Okay. I will say, don't judge a blind channel by the one song.
Okay.
Don't rule them out at download on that one, so listen to some more.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, based on that one, it's a big fan now, yeah.
Okay. That one's another Rockfit bop, so I'm more familiar with it. Yeah, don't give up on them. I thought that was a strong year anyway for Eurovision. And you'll be pleased to know there's only one more track to go.
Yes.
Final track then, and this is actually from this year's contest, so at this point in time we don't know where it will have finished in the rankings.
Or how many points you've got.
Or how many points indeed. But I thought we'd include this one to be up to date and topical.
Okay.
So this is Germany's entry for this year, Lord of the Lost and Blood and Glitter.
Cool.
And I feel like I should already predict what you're going to think of this one. But let's listen and find out. So it was at this point in proceedings that I realised we probably should have been filming this episode just to see facial reactions from Kev as well as getting his verbal verdict.
Oh.
But it's a bit late now for that one. So what's your verbal verdict on Lord of the Lost?
There's so many things happening in that song. I don't even know where to start.
I was watching your face as I was listening and it was interesting.
It's kind of like part of it sounds like it should be in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm.
Then really bad, fast, almost rapping like vocal parts in it. But then kind of like somebody trying to do Parkway Drive halfway through. Don't get what's going on in this. It's fucking bizarre.
Well, you won't be surprised to know that I like that one.
Yeah.
For me, it's another kind of version of Metal ABBA. You know, I'm partial to Metal ABBA.
Mm.
I can definitely see why it's a Eurovision song. How well it'll do, who knows? I haven't actually listened to any of this year's other entries. I've heard the UK one once, I think. So I don't know if there are any other kind of alternative sounding ones this year yet. But that one's going to be getting my vote on Saturday.
Okay.
And speaking of voting, we'll have an extended pause while we tot up your scores and see what the scores on the doors are. So the scores are in and we're going over to the seat at the side of me to find out what Kev has given to each track. Who has got 1 point?
Wigwam. That first piece of shit you played me. Absolutely awful.
Okay, and 2 points goes to?
Terrace Patoni. Bad radio station meets Avatar.
3 points go to?
Lord of the Lost.
This year's entry?
Yeah, mixed nonsense.
Mixed nonsense.
That's what it is. If it was a food in a chip shop, can I have fish chips and a mixed nonsense, please?
I thought you were going to say fish chips, blood and glitter. That would be a weird combo. Well, you never know. It might be the best of all the other tracks this year, so they may still get your vote on the night.
Yeah.
4 points goes to?
Blind Channel. Really don't like that.
Oh, you're going down in my estimation.
I didn't think I could get any lower.
True. 6 points goes to?
AWS for their nondescript new metal.
Fair do. I would say average myself, so I'd agree on that one. 8 points?
Lordy.
Interesting.
Probably thought was the favourite.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's come third, technically. 10 points goes to?
Italian Royal Blood Måneskin.
Very interesting. I didn't expect that.
It's not through quality, it's through lack of other quality.
Okay. Which means that 12 points goes to?
Hatari. Just because that's the only track that was actually any good. Can you just give all the points to Hatari? Because I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, well, you can for me, I guess. So there we go. This year's Ready to Mosh Eurockvision Song Contest. Probably the only one because there ain't going to be enough songs coming out to make a different one next year. But yeah, the winner is Hatari with Hatrid Munsigra. Badly pronounced again.
Yeah, it's always fun to make you say that, so.
The only reason you gave them 12 points.
No, it's not, no.
You could have given it to Wigwam. That's much easier to say in my dreams.
Yeah.
There we go. Hope you've enjoyed listening to those Eurovision classics. Go and give them a listen if you weren't playing along. You may find a new favourite.
You probably won't.
You never know.
Just go straight to Hatari. Forget everybody else.
Yeah. And we'll leave it there.
Right, recommendation time. And this week, we have Godeth as our recommendation. They're a 5-piece metal band from Leeds, and they've got a new single coming out on the 26th of May, which is going to be available to pre-save, and it's going to be out on all major streaming platforms.
What's it called?
It is called Scold.
And it's very good. We've been fortunate to listen to it already.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
It's very good. And the last EP was called Life to the Flame, and that's also worth a listen.
Absolutely. They've got some live dates coming up. First of all, an important one, they are in the Metal to the Masses final for Leeds on the 27th of May. So if you are in Leeds on that date, highly recommend you go along and give them support there and help them get along to Bloodstock. And then a few other dates I've spotted that they're going to be at after then are the 3rd of June at the Santiago in Leeds. The 30th of June, they're going to be at the Tap and Tumbler in Nottingham. That one's free as always, so highly recommend that one. And then finally at Grove Fest on the 9th of September, that is at the Atmar, if I've pronounced that right, in Manchester, which has been headlined by Red Method. I think there are about 11 bands on that day, so sounds like a good day out if you can get there. So yeah, our recommendation is Godeth. Go give them a listen. That's the end of the episode then. So thank you as always for listening. If you've enjoyed listening to us, please do give us a 5-star rating and a review on your preferred podcast platform. And if you're not already following us on our various social media platforms, please do so. We're at Ready to Moshcast on Instagram and Twitter, and Ready to Mosh on Facebook, YouTube and TikTok. So give us a like, share and a follow on there as well, please. We'd very much appreciate it. And we'll be back next time with another episode. Make it stop, move.